Everything you learned in history class was a lie. Well, maybe not everything, but they skipped the best parts. Introducing Stupiracy, where stupidity meets conspiracy. Ever heard of the Olympic marathon that nearly killed its runners? Or the time a pope put another pope's corpse on trial? Join me, Scott Rizzuto, and Tim McKernan as we uncover the most outrageous historical moments and mind-blowing conspiracies you won't believe actually happened. Tune into Stupiracy for your weekly dose of historical absurdity. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, history is dumb, but laughing at it is smart.
And now, live from the TCL broadcast studios, it's Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce with Sports Talk.
All right, apparently we have no update today from Patrick from Florida. We got Korzo in his stead.
Yeah.
Twins have a split squad deal going today, Tampa Bay and Houston. So half the boys had to go across the state maybe to
I read the
West
paper.
Palm.
They sent the young guys over because they got to stay overnight and play another game across, I mean, you know that from your sports writing days, having to get on that bus for 3 hours. That's not something that the veterans like to do. But I think they have some rule now where you have to bring like at least 4 regulars with you or something.
Really?
So that when the people buy their tickets, there's at least a couple names they recognize.
Last night I caught a bit of the game on radio. And Randy Wayne White was the guest of Corey Provis and Dan Gladden. Mm-hmm. They had no earthly idea who he was.
Randy Wayne White?
Yeah, he's an author who lives down there. And I don't know.
Korzo, you should read his books. He writes about Southwest Florida.
I would, yeah. I have no idea who he is either.
Oh,
He writes
fun.
at Doc Ford's Rums on Sanibel.
Yeah.
Well, Doc Ford's is in... there's a Doc
two
Ford.
locations.
There's the one right by the bridge going over to Fort Myers
There's
Beach.
2 on Sanibel and 1 on Fort Myers Beach.
I've been to the one on Fort Myers
Well,
Beach.
Doc Ford is his character in the novels.
Oh, okay.
A marine biologist with a dark CIA past.
Oh, yeah, I would like those.
And they're fun. The newest one is Caribbean Rim. I was supposed to meet him last week for dinner, and he said, I'm in North Carolina at the dentist.
He goes far. He's quirky.
Yeah.
Yeah, he listens to the podcast all the time, and so we're not saying speaking out of school. We'd say it to his face.
Well, Royce called me last night and said, yeah, Randy Wayne White was just here with Bill Lee. So
the spaceman? The
Yes.
picture?
Well, that's
they're
Randy's
big buddies.
buddy. Where Bill Lee is the second character in the book, a guy named Tomlinson. And he's kind of patterned after Bill Lee. So Royce said, I went up to him, pat him on the back, Bill Lee. I said, how you doing, Tomlinson? And Bill Lee got a big kick out of that. And Randy came up and introduced himself and said, oh, it's good to meet you, Pat. And Pat says, well, I have been at your house before.
He was?
Oh, yeah, we all were one time a couple of years ago. Well, to finish the story, we not only went to his place, which was just a really neat place, but then we all get in his skiff. And he puts on his night vision goggles, and off we went out to Usepa Island. And we get out there.
Nice club.
Oh, and what? There's people having cocktails and stuff.
Yeah,
and
there's little cottages on this private island.
Yeah.
But they also have croquet and a tennis court and a nice club with a really nice bar and restaurant.
Well, he goes and he talks to this woman, and Randy comes back to us and says, I got to take you guys back and get back out here. I'm getting married tomorrow. So
that was when he was getting married to Wendy Webb.
Right. And
Randy Wayne White and Wendy Webb.
Webb. Well, yeah.
Yes. She's a wonderful musician. She's got a beautiful voice.
Yeah. So what's up, Korzo? You watched the Honda Classic, and you were telling me off air you think Tiger's back.
I've watched a lot of Tiger. He's played in 3 tournaments. The first tournament at Torrey Pines, remember, he couldn't hit a fairway. I think he hit 16 out of 58 or however many they play. And
did he make the cut at Torrey Pines?
Yeah, he finished like 20th.
But he didn't make the cut in L.A.
L.A., he played terrible at Riviera,
Right.
missed the cut. And then he played pretty well the first 2 rounds at the Honda. So on Saturday, I didn't have much to do. I started watching him play, and he was hitting it as far as anybody. Hit a 340-yard drive.
Really?
He's bombing it.
Yep.
He was hitting the fairway, and his irons were incredible, and he just couldn't make a putt. But it didn't look like he was hitting bad putts. It looked like he was having trouble reading the greens, which is funny because he's played that course a lot. But he says they're really tricky to read. And he shot a 69, and he said afterwards, that's the highest I could have shot. You hear pros say that a lot, but that was true. He could have shot a 64 or 65. And then on Sunday, he was also very good on Sunday until he made a double bogey in the bear trap, which you own, apparently.
I've parred the bear trap.
Yeah, he did not in any of the 3 days that he played it. and he made a double and wasn't really in the running because guys are playing pretty well. But no, if he plays like that, if he's swinging, I mean, he looks great. He's hitting it long. His short game's good. I mean, he is legitimately, I think, has a chance. If he doesn't get hurt again, I don't see any reason why he couldn't get back into the top 20 in the world.
No,
I really don't. He won't be the old Tiger, but he could be a major. He'll win tournaments playing the way he played Saturday.
He can't play this weekend, right? That's the top 64
correct.
in the world.
He's not in the World Golf Championship.
Will he play then? Will he play again before the Masters?
I don't know. My guess is he will. I mean, it's let's see, because that's a whole 5 weeks away.
Right.
So yeah, I bet he will. I think his plan is, he's basically played in 3 tour events this year, and his last real tour event where he made the cut was August of 2015. And when he shot 69, Dottie, Dottie Pepper, she might have a different name now, but she got married. Her first statement she made to Tiger was, "It's been 917 days since you last broke 70 in a PGA Tour event. How does that feel?" And you could tell that just irritated Tiger. He kind of smiled and said, "You had to remind me of that, didn't you?" So I don't think he appreciated that. He might be giving her shorter answers than usual in the future.
I don't see how a guy with that many back surgeries can swing that violently.
Oh my God!
Nick Faldo said on one of his, he hit this drive on the 10th hole where it was like 310 to clear the bunker, and it wasn't even close to not done. It just flew over it. And Nick Faldo said, "Where can I sign up to get back fusion surgery?" I mean, it's because I know people who have back fusion surgery and it works, but it's supposed to kind of restrict your movement. But boy, Torrey Pines, he just putted like a crazy man, and it didn't look sustainable to me. And I don't know what happened at Riviera, but boy, the way he played, considering this is only his 3rd tournament back, it's pretty impressive that he's so now he's finished like 20th. Missed the cut and finished like 11th. That's impressive for a guy that hasn't played really any serious tournament golf in 2.5 years.
What's wrong with McIlroy?
Boy, he hasn't been good for a long time.
Yeah.
He hasn't. He's had putting problems. He's had physical problems. He and Tiger. I mean, the way they swing, that's gonna rear its ugly head, and it has for Rory.
Yeah, he didn't make the cut at the Honda.
No, he was. No, I think he made the cut because the cut was, here's how hard that course was playing. 5 over made the cut.
Oh, really?
And so I think he made the cut, and he ended up way back, though. He finished like 60th. He was like 9 or 10 over.
Now they go to Mexico City.
Mexico City in the World Golf Classic.
Golf Classic, the top 64 in the world.
Yep. So that's the match play one?
This is not match play.
Oh, it's not the match play.
Not match play. What do you think of your Wolves without Butler?
Well, I think without Butler, you really look at it. Last year they were 30 and 50. This year they're on pace to basically be 50 and 30. And the only real difference I could see was Butler because Wiggins has regressed. Towns is playing great, a little better than last year. They've added, Teague over Ricky, slight upgrade. They got Taj Gibson, a slight upgrade over Gorgie Jang. So they're a little better even without Butler. But really, with the schedule they have facing them, I think it's highly likely they'll miss the playoffs. Now, the 2 games they've played since Butler against 2 lousy teams, one at home and one on the road, and they won them both easily. I was kind of pleased with how I saw them play. They were playing at a faster pace. Wiggins was at least doing the things he can do, which is not many, but he can take the ball to the basket. He seemed to be freed up to do that. So they looked better than I expected in those 2 games. So maybe they seem to play almost freer and faster, which is an upgrade over how they played it with Butler, which was slow and halting a lot of times. So maybe they won't be as bad as I think, but boy, they're not as solid in the playoffs as you would think. And if you asked me to guess, I'm going to guess they're going to miss the playoffs. But what I've seen in the 2 games without him, I liked the way they played. If they play that way, I think they'll make the playoffs and hang on.
Well, the other thing we don't know about Butler is when he gets to come back. That's been very secretive.
Which I don't quite get why you make it secretive. I don't know what the advantage of that is.
We don't know the extent of the surgery, how invasive it was, or anything.
I don't even know if it was arthroscopic or not. I think it was.
It was successful.
Well, 100%. It's 100%.
Yeah.
Now you and I were talking. I had meniscus surgery in November, but I obviously didn't have. In other words, a meniscus injury. It's like tiramisu. It's all different. I mean, and because Butler couldn't even put weight on his knee. I walked around on mine and played golf for 6 weeks and really didn't have to fix it. But I did because it felt weird. It didn't hurt. But Butler obviously didn't have that. He couldn't even put weight on it. So he's got a different deal going on. I don't know what it is.
Well, plus the kind of weight he would put on his knee would be different than the kind of weight you or me would put on
Right.
a knee.
But he couldn't even walk on it. I mean, he couldn't even. I mean, he was carried off the floor and wasn't even. He couldn't even put his foot on the ground.
Did that happen down in Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, we don't know.
No.
For all we know, he's back in 3 weeks.
I would say that he's done for the year.
Really?
And the real thing here that everyone's kind of missing the point on, where they are now, they're third in the West, and they're real close to San Antonio. And I think if Butler stayed, I think they could have at least stayed fourth in the West. And that meant they would have been playing a team worse than them in the first round, that they probably would have won a series, and then they would have played Houston or Golden State and gotten wiped out. Now, if you slip down to 7th or 8th, you're playing Houston or Golden State in the first round, and you're done in 4 games, maybe 5.
In the meanwhile, the Wild seem to have cemented their playoff
I was going to ask you that. Cemented their playoff chances. I think you can say that right now they have the 4th best record in the West. They're reeling in, they're only 4 points behind Winnipeg. They're playing great. And it's funny, Bruce Boudreau puts together Stahl, Zucker, and Granlund, and they've been incredible. And, one of the writers, it might have been Russo, said, some of us might say, what took you so long to think of this? Because I guess they've never played together before, those 3 guys.
Well, when's the last time the Wild had a scorer in the top 4 in the league?
I'm sure.
Did it go back to Gaborik?
Got it. Well, we were talking, when you think the only real what you call sniper they've ever had in their history is Gaborik.
Right.
And Stahl, I wouldn't necessarily call him a sniper, but he knows how to score goals.
Right.
Zucker's got a little bit of a sniper in him. You can see him take some of those shots that are, rifled into the upper corners a little bit. But yeah, it's and then at the same time, Mike Yeo with St. Louis, it's like a replay from what happened here.
Oh, that was their 7th straight loss. They're reeling. That could cost Yeo his job.
It could.
Rook, why don't you take us to a break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
I will. Korzo in for Mr. Patrick James Stephen Ricey, and Sports Talk will continue as soon as I find my button. I can do that.
Yeah. Split squad, Tampa Bay and Houston. Where are you on the Vikings quarterback dilemma?
Well, I'm going to talk about that on
the
Ricey
ride
show, the ride. But where I am is the new offensive coordinator that the Vikings got is John DeFilippo.
Filippo.
DeFilippo.
Yeah, DeFilippo.
He is the guy that in Oakland. Well, first of all, when he was coaching at San Jose State, he recruited this kid nobody wanted named David Fales. And if you remember, David Fales played the Gophers 5-6 years ago and threw for like 400 yards. He was like this incredible college quarterback and had a cup of coffee in the pros. He was the guy when we were at Oakland. He said, I think we ought to draft David Carr, who's now been to 2 Pro Bowls. He was the guy that they sent up to look at North Dakota and look at Carson Wentz and came back and said, do what you have to do to get this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to have an eye for quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
His history has been he not only is good at coaching quarterbacks, but that he's got an eye for spotting the ones that are going to be good. And so whatever he decides, I'm all in. If he decides Kirk Cousins is the guy, I trust John DeFilippo. Because what do I know? I mean, I love Case Keenum, but what do I know? I'm not an NFL GM, and I'd be happy to see him get Kirk Cousins. That'd be great. That'd be fun.
So is it a done deal that Keenum's gone?
No, Is
it a done deal that Bridgewater's gone?
No. What they could do is up till March 6th. If you can put a franchise tag on one player.
What's that mean? You get to pay that player more than other players?
That means that player is stuck playing for you next year.
Oh.
But you have to pay him the average of the top 5 players at that position. So this year that would be about $23 million. Mm-hmm. Kirk Cousins, they've done that to him in Washington for like 2 straight years.
Mm-hmm.
And so they could keep Keenum for 1 year, and then they could work out a deal if they wanted, or work a long-term deal and get rid of the franchise tag. They've elected not to do that. Teddy Bridgewater's a free agent, so certainly the free agency period hits on March 12th. They can officially start talking to the guys. On March 14th, you can sign them, and so on March 14th, if Cousins signs somewhere else, Teddy signs somewhere else, and Keenum signs somewhere else, then they got nothing.
Right.
That's the risk. But they can sign him like the rest of the guys. They could sign Keenum or Teddy now. In other words, before the other teams can't get to him until March 14th. But between now and March 14th, you can sign your own free agents.
Does a team have to declare a franchise player?
Yes, you have to tag him.
One.
You have to declare one, and you have to do it by March 6th.
Okay. What'd you find out?
I found out that our split squad has a split. Rays beat the Twins 3-1. That game is a final. And the Twins beat the Astros 4-2.
All right.
That is also a final.
I wonder if Patrick made the trip over to the West Coast. I'm sorry, the East Coast.
Oh, that does not tell me that in the box score.
Doesn't it?
No, it doesn't say if he made it or
Surprised
not.
it doesn't say that he's
right.
over there or not. I think that's where that they train is West Palm. Houston, St. Louis, somebody else is over there.
Yeah, could be. I don't know where the Astros are. It's all changed so much.
Well, the Vikings, in other words, have a good problem.
Well, and the interesting thing is that there's about 5 or 6 teams that have a lot of cap space where they could afford to get Kirk Cousins. And of the teams that have a lot of cap space, the Vikings are the best team based on their records last year. And so Kirk Cousins has come out and said, I really want to play for a team where I could win. So that kind of limits it to maybe Denver, who didn't win last year. They were 5-11, but they have a good defense, terrible quarterback. And the Vikings, and then teams like the Jets and the Browns, who were terrible, might be able to throw a little more money at them. So that what everyone's is suspecting is the Jets are going to throw an unbelievable amount of money at him, and then can the Vikings get close enough to have Cousins come here? My sense is that if the Vikings have decided they want Kirk Cousins, they will get Kirk Cousins. Because I think if the money's the same, my sense is from what he's said, what's been reported, is that he'd come here.
He hasn't taken Washington anywhere, has he?
Nope. In the 3 years he's been the starter, they're one game over 500. They went to the playoffs 1 year.
Well, then what's all
But
the
it's attractive to come here because of the team's pretty solid.
Yeah, but what's the hoopla about him then? Has he just been playing for bad teams?
Yeah, when I'll say this, when the Vikings played the Redskins, and Keenum had a good day, he threw 2 stupid interceptions, but he threw for 340 yards, had 4 touchdowns. I thought Kirk Cousins was really good in that game. I'm not an expert on Kirk Cousins. I've probably seen him play 3 other quarters other than that one. And his receivers kept dropping the ball. I'm not kidding you. They did. To me, the difference in that game was the Vikings receivers. The Vikings receivers had one bad game all year. Against Carolina, they dropped 5 passes. Other than that, they dropped like 5 all year. And they made great catches. They made Keenum look better. The Redskins, you can have a really good quarterback and still only be a 500 team. That can happen.
Apparently, because Cousins sure gets all the great publicity.
He's been very good. He hasn't been great, is what I say.
Rook, would you agree with that?
I would completely agree with that. Cousins would make a positive impact for the Vikings. However, being only 1 game over 500 during his tenure with the Redskins doesn't really show that. So that's why he'd want to come here to prove that.
Kenny, you on board with that?
I'm all on board, Joe.
Right. We were discussing that off the air.
All the way on
to
board.
Cousins.
All right. Well, that's excellent, boys. I'm glad that you're...
You just like hearing yourself talk.
Yeah,
don't
he's
you?
got the Barry White pipes.
He does. I heard that driving over here. I thought, who's sitting in for Joe?
It's so distracting. You're
but
so
then I heard him
sexy.
talking about Hajibs, and I knew it was Joe. It's just he was hoarse.
Sports Talk will be back in just a moment.
Yeah, now he's
Nice.
But now, thanks to our really great friends in Owatonna, Minnesota at Federated Insurance, where it's their business to protect your business and nobody, baby, does that better than Federated. It's Bruce Vail from the Wall Street Journal.
You're
and
squeaky.
What's left of your money?
They hated Kirk Cousins for a while there in Washington early on,
I don't
and
know
then
why that
he
would
had
be.
like a couple of comeback wins, and all of a sudden he was the talk of the town. I
He's
don't
the
know.
talk of this town.
All right, we've got some.
I'm going to turn his mic off now, Bruce.
No, I won't.
All right,
Here's John Haidt in the Sports Talk newsroom.
Thank you, Joe. It's sunny. We're up to 45 degrees now. Wild beat St. Louis last night, 8-3. Up next, they'll play at Arizona on Thursday, followed by a game at Colorado on Friday.
Does Mike Yo still have his job?
As of this moment, he does.
Yeah.
Twins split squad action today. Tampa Bay, they lost to the Rays 3-1. The one Twins run in that game came from a Byron Buxton home run. He, in fact, was 2 for 2 in that ball game. Miguel Sano also made his first start of the spring. He started at third base, went 0 for 2 in limited action. Another Twins group played against the Astros today. They defeated the Astros 4-2, and that one, A-Ray Adrianza had 2 hits and 2 RBIs.
When's Mauer going to make his debut?
End of this week, I believe they said. So I would think within the next day or
Well,
two.
what's he waiting for?
He's
not that old.
Well,
We're waiting.
Big Ten tournament underway today in New York City. The Gophers will play Rutgers at 7:00.
The bright side to this season is that it ends a week early because the Big Ten season ends a week early, so that's good.
News notes from today. A district court judge has ruled in favor of the city of Minneapolis in a challenge to the city's $15 minimum wage ordinance.
Really?
Okay, this is going to get old pretty quick, isn't it?
Let's everybody try and do it. Graco Inc. was one of 4 entities to bring a civil suit against the city in an effort to declare the law invalid, arguing in part the city didn't have the power to pass an ordinance the plaintiffs believed would conflict with state law. The company said it suffered increased vendor costs for custodial services because of the ordinance, and that in addition to having to pay increased wages, it has incurred expenses for record keeping and payroll to comply with the law. 4th District Judge Susan Burke ruled the city's ordinance is not preempted by state law and would not adversely impact outstate Minnesota residents. Minneapolis approved the ordinance in July, partly to address what they called income disparities after finding 48% of city workers earned less than a living wage and 84,000 residents, they said, lived below the federal poverty level. The Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, Twin West Chamber of Commerce, and Minnesota Recruiting and Staffing Association had also been plaintiffs in the suit. Those entities, though, later dropped out. Under the new law, businesses with more than 100 people have 5 years to raise wages to $15 an hour. Businesses with 100 or fewer employees have 7 years to reach that threshold. The driver of a vehicle that jumped a curb and plowed into a Metro Transit bus in St. Paul last year, killing one, has been sentenced to 10 years in prison. 27-year-old Tyler Bjeland of Minneapolis was convicted of criminal vehicular homicide while under the influence and sentenced today in Ramsey County Court. He will receive credit for 222 days of time served. 48-year-old Kenneth Foster was on the bus when the vehicle crashed into it on July 21st at the intersection of Dale Street and Charles Avenue. Witnesses told police at the time they saw a car driving erratically, sideswiping another vehicle on Charles and Victoria. President Trump asked Senator Pat Toomey, a Pennsylvania Republican who's worked on a bill to strengthen background checks for gun purchases, whether he left out a proposal to raise the gun purchasing age to 21 out of his measure because he is, in the president's words, afraid of the NRA. In that exchange, during a meeting of bipartisan group of senators at the White House this afternoon, Trump also asked Senators Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Toomey if their background check bill that they offered in the aftermath of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting included a provision about age. Toomey said it did not. You know why, Trump replied?
Why?
Because you're afraid of the NRA.
Was that his theme? After every response from anybody sitting at the table, do you know why you're taking a sip of water, Senator Klobuchar? Because you're afraid of the NRA.
Let's raise the age to 21.
Trump reiterated multiple times during this
Are
afternoon.
you afraid of the NRA?
Is that to own or purchase?
Purchase.
So, on what sort of firearm?
The AR-15s,
Just that, huh?
the black rifles. Yeah.
Just the scary-looking ones
Right.
that are the same thing as a deer hunting rifle, only they look scary.
Well, no, they're not the same.
Yeah, they
Not
are.
the same.
Yeah, they are.
Well, why? 18. The kid can't buy Sudafed. I mean,
Can't buy beer.
let's
The hell?
just make it common sense here.
Trump reiterated multiple times during.
Who's common sense?
Mine. I'm the mayor.
Kenny, I think he might be afraid of the NRA. Huh?
I think he might be afraid of the NRA.
Why don't I just go back to my desk? You guys debate gun control for the next 20 minutes or so. Trump reiterated multiple times during this afternoon's meeting he wanted to see what he called a comprehensive approach on guns. Throughout the meeting, he encouraged members to present ideas. Sometimes after an idea was presented, Trump would look at colleagues and ask if it could be added to the base bill. He says he wants one great piece of legislation. It was cool because they broadcast the whole meeting with the senators in them again, like they did the other time.
It'd be nice to see these two far warring factions come together and try to work something out here. I mean, all we're getting is yelling from both the far right and the far left, and it's the yelling and shouting doesn't accomplish anything.
A teacher is in
If we could sit down and talk like Joe and I talk.
Right, I thought you guys had a good
Hey,
debate,
Joe,
Joe.
how you going? How you
We
doing?
wouldn't get much done.
You got a sexy sounding voice there, Such. You got any beer in the fridge? That kind of
Right.
discussion. Mind if I light up this stogie?
No, you go ahead.
All right. Well, let's talk.
I don't want to.
Oh, well, I'm going to go home then.
Where's
Screw
my
you.
voice?
I've always hated you. I'm going home.
A teacher is in custody after police say
That's what would happen,
right.
too.
it was a quick meeting.
Bleep you. I'm out of here.
Quick meeting. A teacher is in custody after police say he barricaded himself inside his own classroom at a high school in northwest Georgia. Police responded to the report of a shot or shots fired at Dalton High School in Dalton, Georgia this morning. It was believed a teacher was barricaded inside. An affiliate there for CBS reported the situation began around 11:30 this morning when the teacher blocked students from entering the classroom. When the principal tried to unlock the door, they heard a gunshot inside, and the school was quickly evacuated. No other shots were fired during the incident. Police later tweeted the teacher was in custody. Identified as social studies teacher Jesse Randall Davidson. He's also the play-by-play voice of the Dalton football team, according to police. Police say they don't have any information about what may have caused the incident. Dalton police said no children were in danger.
Was he trying to do harm to himself?
Well, they're not saying, but he didn't do any, so
okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Keith Richards is apologizing to Mick Jagger for joking in a recent Wall Street Journal interview that his 73-year-old bandmate should get a vasectomy. Jagger and,
I don't think there's any reason to apologize, is there?
Jagger and girlfriend Melanie Hamrick welcomed their first child in December of 2016. This would be Mick's 8th child. Here's the quote from the Wall Street Journal interview. Mick's a randy old bastard. It's time for the snip.
It's just funny.
You can't be a father at that age.
Why?
Those poor kids. That's
well, he's right.
Yeah, I don't know.
After the interview was printed, Richards issued a statement apologizing for suggesting that Jagger undergo a vasectomy. He tweeted, "I deeply regret the comments I made about Mick in the Wall Street Journal."
Why would you back down?
There's nothing wrong with that comment.
They were funny.
I have, of course, apologized to him in person.
They're
I'll
going
do it
out
in a
again.
wheelchair, so will he. Yeah, it's
He's
easy
already
for him. He's sitting down already. No, it is quite amazing to see people like with their grandchildren. But I say at the same time, very heartwarming.
Oh, wow. Have you seen the picture been floating around of him in his library? He has a rather extensive library.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I think he's having the last laugh, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Probably healthier than a horse.
Yeah, I think you're probably correct. Only one thing that could make Oprah Winfrey run for president in 2020. Amid calls for her to consider running for the White House, she says, "I went into prayer. God, if you think I'm supposed to run, you got to tell me, and it has to be so clear that not even I can miss it."
Isn't that what Michelle Obama did? Or not Obama, I'm sorry. But yeah, Michelle Bachmann.
Yeah, and everybody ripped the hell out of her. Nobody will rip the hell out of this knucklehead.
She told People magazine that she hasn't gotten a message yet.
No message has come in yet for Oprah.
Nothing's come in.
Yeah.
She found herself in the political
I knew I'd find something eventually that would get that voice up a couple of timbers. It finally found it.
She found herself in the political spotlight after a speech at the 2018 Golden Globes. Winfrey had the crowd of Hollywood's biggest stars on their feet and in tears with moving words and promises that a new day is dawning.
And didn't the president already rip her? I think I saw some quotes.
He said,
from
"I wish
him.
she would run. I could beat her."
Yeah.
but then he said, "But she's a great friend of mine."
Yeah, it was really weird, the quotes, yeah.
Not everyone was happy to hear Barbra Streisand couldn't give up on her beloved pooch. The 75-year-old actress recently told Variety her 2 dogs are actually clones.
Well, that sea hag's got more money and she knows what to do with.
A dog that she used to have but died last year. That came with a major backlash. PETA President Ingrid Newkirk said she hopes other pet owners won't follow in Streisand's steps. She insisted people should consider adopting animals instead of cloning. It's not easy to clone, nor is it cheap. $50,000.
What did I tell you? She's
Yeah.
Man.
$50,000 it would cost you if you wanted to clone.
What was
You
that?
can get dogs cloned. Did I miss a story here somewhere? So what? It's like exactly like the dog you had. Is that?
They're not exactly the same. No.
What exactly was that dog used for? I mean, why 50,000? Wow,
Yeah.
crazy.
$50,000.
She married?
Yeah, when you're crazy, you're crazy. And she's crazy, baby.
Like hot Matrix crazy?
She's hot. She's out of the shit.
Yeah.
She's
Unicorns and rainbows.
No-go zone.
Right.
Just a quick check on your traffic here on Sports Talk. If you're traveling between the downtowns, westbound 94 running 15 minutes, eastbound between 13. Northbound 169 already played out. We had an earlier crash up at Bass Lake Road, so now traffic jamming at 394 running 15, 16 minutes up to 94. But be aware those delays do continue all the way up to Highway 610. Here's John Height. I should have just shut up.
You should have shut up.
You almost had it.
In my mind, you hit it.
It was a long walk, and I just couldn't shut up.
Thanks, Kenny. We should mention this bit of news before we get to the other stuff. Not sure why. I have no details, but White House Communications Director Hope Hicks, who's been testifying the last 2 days before the committee investigating the Russian interference in the election, has resigned. So I don't know why.
She up and quit.
Yeah, she just up and quit. So don't ask
What
me.
does it mean, you up and quit?
That's what we do up in
and
Douglas
quit.
County.
Oh, you just don't, you don't quit?
We just up and
You
quit.
up and quit?
I up and quit.
Got it.
Kenny, you requested this story yesterday, so I found it. China has launched a fresh crackdown on funeral strippers.
It just sounds ridiculous.
The Ministry of Culture said it would target obscene, pornographic, and vulgar performances at funerals and weddings. It follows reports in the state-run Global Times newspaper about roaring crowds applauding and cursing as women perform at funerals.
What?
The tabloid claimed that they sauntered into the crowd, rubbed men's crotches, while occasionally reminding them not to take any pictures.
At the funeral.
At the funeral.
This is the wake?
It's a funeral, the actual funeral.
This is the service.
The service itself. The Culture Ministry set up hotlines to offer monetary rewards to those who report what they are calling funeral misdeeds.
That sure as hell beats sitting around saying the rosary, doesn't it?
Crying and hugging and blowing your nose 800 times.
Right.
Yeah.
You're wondering why they do this.
Yes, I am.
Some rural communities in China believe hiring performers can increase attendance at funerals. High attendance is seen as a way of honoring the deceased.
Can you imagine the Scandinavians that go to our funeral suits showing up?
Okay. Yeah, we got it. We got it. One knee.
He was mad because he came late to the game and the strippers were already done. So
You mean he arrived late?
Yeah, he arrived late. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, I was very innocent on that one. Yes.
In a bid to show off their disposable income and boost numbers, some households are paying out more than their annual incomes for strippers, actors, singers, and comedians to come to the funeral. Now, Beijing actually banned funeral strippers back in 2015 after 2 cases where exotic dancers staged obscene performances. Authorities also arrested 6 exotic dancers at the funeral of an elderly resident in the city of Handan. 5 people detained in Zhengzhou back in 2006 for obscene performances. The Zhuang Zizhang, a university professor, said in some local cultures, dancing with erotic elements can be used to convey the deceased's wishes of being blessed with many children.
Oddly enough, I have some audio of the people talking about the stripper. They rate the strippers after, and I'm not fluent in Mandarin Chinese, but I can certainly translate because I've been around a lot of Chinese people. Let's just see. Hey, what do you think of that last stripper at Chin's funeral? Well, I've seen better, but this lady better retire pretty quick because she's not drawing the crowd. Well, you want to go out for a beer? Yeah, I got another funeral next week, so hopefully they'll upgrade their service here. Yeah.
Can I play the role of Royce? All right, that's enough.
Why are we speaking Chinese?
I have long told the bride to, I don't want a funeral. I want you to torch me up, burn me up, and if anybody wants to have a celebration, tell them to go to hell. And that was going to be my thing. But now I'm thinking strippers.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking just to be equal opportunity, we're going to have some dudes in there dropping their trousers.
You want to be propped up on one of your snowmobiles?
No.
Female or male strippers?
I think we're going to... Oh.
Female or male strippers? Which one,
Both.
Kenny? Oh, both. Okay.
Both, yeah.
Got it.
I'm equal opportunity. And some combo packages, too. Mm-hmm. Girl on top, boy on bottom. That kind of...
I thought you meant 2 for 1. Right here. I got both, don't worry.
Maybe some craft beer and some expensive tequila. That'd be fun.
In Paradise Valley, Arizona, a woman named Linda Fine had just made a $1.8 million...
What are those things the kids the poke with the sticks and the candy comes out?
Piñata?
Yeah. Could you make a piñata that looks like me?
Yeah.
And then everybody can just flog at it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it just have to be round? Sorry.
Yeah, that's all you'd need. You're right. Yeah. Thank you, John.
Use a colored marker to do the hair.
Yeah, that wasn't hurtful at all, John. Thank you.
Sorry, Kenny. I feel really bad now. In Paradise Valley, Arizona, a woman named Linda Fine had just made a $1.8 million offer on a 4-bedroom, 4,172 square foot home spread across a 1.3 acre lot until she pulled out of the deal after discovering its past in the porn industry.
Really?
The property had been utilized as the set of Wifey's World, a porn site founded in 1998, operated by a couple named Kevin and Sandra Otterson, the owners of the home, according to the Arizona Republic. Fine told the Republic, "I just can't make Thanksgiving dinner on counters where a porn star has been lounging around."
And John warned me about this story, and I looked it up, and I agree with the new owners. There's not enough power washing in the world to clean those countertops and railings and mantles. And
did she successfully get out of the deal?
Well,
front steps and
it appears she is, yes. Although the home's listing told Fine the owners were in the entertainment industry. That's what led her to the discovery. In Arizona, there's no statute, though, stating that porn film set history has to be disclosed in a listing. She said, "I certainly believe there are people out there who wouldn't care about the house being used for those purposes. I'm just not one of them."
I see.
And she did get out of the deal, yes. 2 shoplifting suspects running from police scaled a fence to get away from officers, thought they had it made. However, they landed in the parking lot of the local police station once they got over the fence.
Attaboy.
Officials told KTAR-FM that officers were called to a gas station for possible shoplifting at 6 o'clock last Friday night. Authorities say as officers got there, the suspects, 28-year-old Mawan El Abadi and 29-year-old Salma Huraya, took off running. The pair ran along the side of a building and jumped a fence, despite a sign that said Peoria Police above the door. Security video shows Huraya trying to hide under a bench before being placed in custody by officers who had seen the two jump over the fence on security cameras in the police station. El Abadi climbed back over the other side of the fence, but he was arrested in the street by the officers.
Come on down off the fence. Here we are. Let's go.
Fantastic.
El Abadi and Huraya both face charges of shoplifting, trespassing in a critical public safety building, and drug charges. A very bold criminal in Connecticut. Police say a man stole a rookie police officer's car and used the cops' credit cards to buy food at a Taco Bell and then groceries at Walmart. 21-year-old Waterbury resident Derek Johnson charged with multiple offenses. He stole the car from a Waterbury parking garage the night of the officer's police academy graduation. Police later recovered the car. Investigators say they identified Johnson using surveillance footage. He has a hearing in Waterbury Superior Court next month.
All right, John, thank you.
You bet.
Korzo's in for Patrick to take you on the ride home, and what do you have coming up?
Yes, I am going to talk a little bit Kirk Cousins, going to talk a little bit Twins, and also talk Jess Myers, the Hockey Half Hour, because a lot of hockey news. I know Jess is proud of War Road because there was another War Road person won a gold medal on the women's U.S. team.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk a little bit Gophers puck. They got handled pretty badly by Penn State, but are still going to get in the NCAA tournament, and so some other stuff as well.
And Wilder now what? 5 straight.
Yeah, and in really, solid position, and right now third in their division, and have a chance to maybe catch Winnipeg, who's still only 4 points ahead of them.
I don't think Winnipeg ever plays a road game. Every time I look, they have played a home game.
Yeah, and that's the Wild's likely first-round playoff opponent.
Winnipeg,
yeah.
That'll be tough.
That'll be tough.
Yeah. All right, you stay tuned. Korzo will be live from the TCL broadcast studios. 1500 ESPN is KSTP, St. Paul, Minneapolis. It's 45 degrees. The ride is next.